Mini Lesson 10, Making Connections Across Texts. As readers of fiction, we come across many interesting themes and topics. It is important for us to realize, though, that many of these themes and topics appear often throughout literature that we read from different cultures. They are universal themes and topics. As readers of fiction, we make connections among our many texts in order to create a deeper understanding. So today, guys, we're going back to one of our famous fiction finds, which is the theme. Discovering the theme. There's different common themes in folk tales. Courage versus cowardice, good versus evil, rich versus poor, wise versus foolish, age versus youth, beauty versus ugliness, stinginess versus generosity, and fairness versus unfairness. But it also could be, don't judge a book by its cover, be brave, persevere. There's so many different themes out there. But the thing is, how do we find them?
I'll take the R2 unit. Come on, Moby, how many different takes do you need? No, I don't want to switch roles. Dear Tim and Moby, how do I figure out the theme of a story? And why is finding the theme so important anyway? From Bob A. Thanks for the questions, Bob. A theme is a central message or idea woven into the action of a story. Themes give a story meaning by linking the fictional world with our own. They comment on issues from our everyday lives and from the wider culture. They're a huge part of what makes films and literature so fascinating. If you've ever read a fable, you already know a simple type of theme. Fables always include a moral, a lesson about life. Take the tortoise and the hare. The hare is always bragging about how fast he is, so the tortoise challenges him to a race. The hare is so confident, he stops to take a nap halfway through. Slowly, but surely, the tortoise passes the hare and wins. It might seem like the story is all about speed and running. The larger message is that patience and determination pay off. The race is used to communicate a lesson that can be applied to real life. Themes are usually more subtle in movies and novels. It's easy to be wowed by spaceships, aliens, and princesses, and those are essential parts of the Star Wars story. But to find the themes, we have to read between the lines. Well, not literally. We have to look for patterns or ideas that come up frequently. The repetition of a word or phrase is a good sign you're onto a theme. We call those recurring words or images motifs. The Force is one big motif in Star Wars. We learn more about its symbolic meaning each time it's mentioned. Well, like at the beginning, the Force seems to be just a magical power. But over the course of the series, we learn that it's much more than that. It's a universal energy that connects all living things, and a spiritual balance between light and darkness. Themes are often set up as pairs of opposing ideas, like with the Force. At its most basic level, it represents the struggle between good and evil, but it's also about nature versus technology, the tension between instinct and logic, or the choice between freedom and destiny. And they sound complicated, but those themes are all right there in the movie. We find them by analyzing the story elements. For example, we can examine lines of dialogue, what the characters say. Like when Darth Vader calls the Death Star a technological terror. Then he says the colossal weapon is nothing compared to the power of the Force. His comments set up technology and nature as opposing ideas. Plot, the action in a story, is another great place to hunt for themes. Okay, Moby-Wan, I will use the Force. I will trust my intuition. We did it, R2. We destroyed the Death Star. Right, Luke is successful because he relies on the Force. His natural instincts are victorious over destructive technology. Well, in a great story, all the elements work together to support the themes. Look at the settings in Star Wars, where the action takes place. The Death Star is massive and spotless. Like a lot of advanced technology, it feels sinister and cold. Compare that with the Rebels' ships. They look and feel lived in, like a home. Even the costumes support that contrast. Stormtroopers wear masks, and their uniforms are totally rigid. They look more like machines than people. Compare that to the Rebel outfits, what we good guys wear. Our clothing is loose, comfy, and made of organic materials. Well, appearance is a key part of characterization. That's all the ways a character is portrayed, how he looks, speaks, thinks, and acts. Remember when we first meet Moby-Wan? He lives a simple life, not surrounded by gizmos and gadgets. He's a respected Jedi Master, but unlike the bad guys, he's humble and has a sense of humor. Yeah, those themes really resonate in today's high-tech world. Anyway, let's get this place cleaned up. Dad's gonna be home soon. What? You are my father? No! No! No!
Oftentimes we notice the same theme in multiple texts. Let's think of some of the common themes we've seen in our reading. I remember seeing a lot of the word perseverance. Have courage. Good versus evil. I've seen these in a lot in our stories of the rough-faced girl, Korean Cinderella. But the new one that we're going to read today is Cheese for Dinner, a tale from Mexico. And we're going to see how we can compare and contrast the theme that are presented in two different texts. Cheese for Dinner, a tale from Mexico. Retold by Judy Goldman. Coyote was hiding behind a boulder near the lake. He licked his chops and stared at Conino. The unwary rabbit was gazing at the full moon that lit the cloudless sky. Coyote lunged at Coneo. The rabbit bounded away, leaping over rocks and around the bushes, but Coyote stayed right behind him, snapping at his heels. Coneo came to a wall of rock. Desperately, he looked away to escape. Finding none, he cowered against the wall, thinking of what to do. Coyote scrambled to a stop and brought his jaws close to Coneo. "Caught you," he said, flashing his pointy white teeth. "I haven't eaten for 2 days and I'm hungry." Coneo's mind raced. "You don't want to eat me," he said. "I'm just a scrawny rabbit." "I know you're not much, but you'll do," Coyote said, opening his mouth wide. "Wait," Coneo yelled. "I have a better idea. I know where you can get something delicious to eat. Just before you started to chase me, I saw an enormous wheel of cheese resting on the bottom of the lake." "Why didn't you get it?" Coyote asked. "I wanted to, but I can't swim. I was thinking about how to fetch it when you surprised me. A big, strong coyote like you can probably dive in, pull it out, and eat it all by yourself." Coyote's mouth watered. "Show me the cheese," he said. Coneo led the way to the lake, then pointed. "See?" Coyote saw something round and yellow in the water. "That's a big wheel of cheese," he said. "I'm gonna get it right now." Coyote held his breath, and dove in. He swam down, down, but when he got to the bottom of the lake, he saw no cheese. Where is it? He thought as he struggled to hold his breath. Then he swam up, 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 gasping for air. He heaved himself out of water. To his surprise, Conjero was nowhere to be found. Coyote stared at the cheese in the lake. How can I get it? He wondered. Coyote lifted his head to howl in frustration. At that moment, he saw the full moon. He looked again at the lake and saw the moon's round reflection. That sly Conjero tricked me, Coyote snarled. For hours, Coyote searched high and low for Conjero. Not finding him, Coyote went to bed hungry. As for Conjero, he was safe in his cozy burrow. So, I'm hoping you can think about how maybe their themes are similar or maybe they're different in The Rough-Faced Girl and Cheese for Dinner. So, this is an example of a graphic organizer called a Venn diagram. And we would put Rough-Faced Girl here and Cheese for Dinner here. And the common main theme that they share would go in the middle. And evidence from the text that would show why they are the same, why they're the same here, and how they are different on the outside. So here's a RAD response. Remember, restate, answer, detail, 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 for the common theme found in Rough-Faced Girl. Now you have this example that you can use and follow when you write your own RADs in your reads. In the two folk tales, Rough-Faced Girl and Cheese for Dinner, they both have a common theme. The common theme they both share is courage. In Rough-Faced Girl, she exhibits courage by leaving her wigwam and going to face with an invisible being sister. She continues to show when she walks through the village and doesn't turn back when everyone laughs at her. Lastly, Rough-Faced Girl displays courage when she travels through nature by herself in the search for the invisible being. In the folk tale, Cheese for Dinner, the rabbit exhibits courage when he comes face to face with his enemy, Coyote. Rabbit doesn't run away. In fear, he faces the coyote and comes up with a clever plan. Rabbit continues to display courage when he has Coyote follow him to the lake. In conclusion, Rough-Faced Girl and the rabbit are both courageous characters who succeeded and completed their challenges. So again, in the beginning sentence, we need to write about Rough-Faced Girl and Cheese for Dinner, the two titles, and that they both have a common theme, because that was the question I asked you. And the both common theme that they shared was courage. In the next two paragraphs, I showed you how they both showed courage from evidence, textual evidence from the story. And then I ended it with a conclusion. So I hope when you read your reads, well, actually you read your two reads already this week, and today is the day that you're going to compare those two reads and write a RAD response, comparing and contrasting. Some of you have The Wump World and the Giving Tree. Some of you have The Bell That Knew the Truth and Uka the Stolen Smell. So get out your reads and compare and contrast using the RAD format on how they are similar and how they are different and comparing them.